And joining me now is Christopher Young. He is the Donald L. Bren Chair of Non-Western Strategic Thought at the Marine Corps University. Always great to see you, Chris. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So making news today at the summit is Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his comments praising India-Chinese relations. And of course, China is very happy about this. Tell us a little bit more about this.
Well, so India and China, major Asia powers, are always trying to work with one another. I mean, there have been some tensions related to their border, some tensions in the maritime territorial domain, but the two have always tried to work with one another. And so it's not surprising to me that Prime Minister Modi would attempt to reach out and diplomatically make connections with China. So that's not a surprising note. He also made some positive things to say about the United States. So India really is trying to maintain a balance between the two powers.
Obviously, we knew going into this, the dispute in the South China Sea was going to make the headlines. U.S. Secretary of Defense James Mattis is mincing no words, blasting Beijing Saturday for installing these anti-ship cruise missiles along with radar jamming equipment on several of its outposts. James Mattis actually says, I believe we have his quote here, "There are consequences that will continue to come home to roost," he says, if China does not find a way to work more collaboratively. What do you expect the response to be from China on this one?
Well, I mean, obviously, the Secretary's stand is not surprising. American policy with regard to South China Sea has been to warn or to at least point out to Beijing that the continued militarization or the continued placement of missile systems, surface-to-air missiles, runways, et cetera, on the islands is going to be somewhat provocative. So that part of it isn't surprising. I would imagine that the Chinese are not particularly happy to hear that, especially since to make a fine point of this fact, the United States disinvited China from the rim of the Pacific. So it's not just that the administration is saying these things; they're also taking action. So my guess is Beijing is going to respond rather strongly.
So this was the U.S.'s response, uninviting Beijing from the rim of the Pacific, or RIMPAC, in response to these military installations. But they warned of more severe penalties. What exactly is he talking about?
Well, that could mean more freedom of navigation actions. It could mean perhaps disinviting China to additional military-to-military activities. And of course, in the meantime, China could choose to retaliate and disinvite the United States from participating in military-to-military activities. So there are a range of different options that both sides can undertake. Let's hope that it doesn't lead to an escalatory tit-for-tat action between the two countries.
We don't have a lot of news yet about the DPRK, but we are expecting that possibly later on today. This was a hot topic at the summit last year. Here we are this year, just a week or so shy from a possible, and I say possible, meeting. How do you expect everyone to weigh in on this one?
To weigh in on it during the Shangri-La Dialogue? I think everyone's going to say very nice things about it. I think everybody's going to be on their finest behavior because there's a lot at stake with regard to this summit. And so I think what you're going to hear, and I think we have already heard, is that Secretary Mattis will thank Beijing for its constructive efforts in making this come about. You'll hear other countries, South Korea perhaps, Japan also, making sure that everyone says all the right things, encouraging the process along. And I think China will say nice things just to make sure that the process will move along. So I think what you're going to hear is very cautionary remarks about the North Korea summit, because no one is going to want to be responsible for sidelining it or disrupting it.
Jeopardizing what could happen. All right. Well, Christopher Young, always great to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.